So Blender 5.1 is currently in alpha, and there's some impressive cool features that are now available with this. And of course, it is worth mentioning that this is still in its very experimental stage, but we'll be moving to beta pretty soon. And for those who like to explore this, you can simply go over to blender.org, go over to download, go all the way down. We're going to find download Blender Experimental, and right here you would see that we've got Blender 5.1 the alpha for both Windows, Mac, and Linux. And of course, if you'd like to follow up with the latest changes and see some of the cool features that will be coming with Blender 5.1, you can click on latest changes, as this is going to bring you right here where you can also see when the release date would be if you simply go over to see schedule. And with this schedule, we can tell that the planned time for this particular release will be sometime within March the 17th of 2026, with pre-release within 11th of March, and Blender 5.1 getting into beta on February the 4th of 2026. And from our experience, these dates are currently tentative and subject to change. And for those who like to take a look at some of the cool features that are now available with Blender 5.1, if we go back to the release notes, you would see that we've got a couple of things right here. Now, not every part of these actually has something going for it, but we're going to simply talk about some of the cool ones that are now available and go through some of the nice updates and improvements. And with that said, let's dive right into Blender and explore these. And with Blender 5.1 the alpha opened up right here, it is worth mentioning that in terms of improvement, the status and overlay statistics has been improved. If you go all the way to the overlays, you now notice that the overlays now have a text region. This is something that wasn't available with the previous versions of Blender. So now you can now see text-based overlays under the category called text. And if you like copying and pasting stuff, at this point, if you don't have anything selected and you go over to object and click on copy object, you now have an information that says no object selected to copy. Unlike the information you get with the previous version of Blender that says copied 0 selected objects. And speaking about copying, across Blender node editors, you can now copy and paste nodes to other instances of Blender. We already have some nodes here. And this is the typical brick texture. Let's actually preview that so you can see what we have here. So this is a typical brick texture. Of course, we can make changes to this. If for some reason you do have nodes from previous projects and you like to copy those nodes across to other projects with Blender 5.1, as far as you're using Blender 5.1 for all of them, you know, the instances themselves, you can now copy or even cut the nodes out, go over to another instance of Blender 5.1, and then you can do a simple Ctrl V. And once you do that, you can now connect your nodes and reuse your nodes how you want. Now, if you try to copy your nodes from Blender 5.1, and say for example you like to paste them in Blender 5.0, this feature does not exist, as all you will left it is an error that says the internal clipboard is empty. The frame all and focus on specific object, which is triggered by the home key on your keyboard and the period key respectively, is now available for your nodes. So within your nodes, if you tap the home key on your keyboard, you can frame all of your nodes, and if you proceed to select a specific node and you tap the period key, you can now focus on that particular node. And speaking about framing and focusing, if you have any node selected and you tap F on the keyboard, you can now create frames, which is something that is not new. But what is new is frame labels now have contrasting colors automatically, as this is pretty nice for visibility, unlike what we had with the previous versions of Blender. And if you do have nodes or you're pasting nodes, if you automatically have the snapping grid turned on, you can now simply snap your nodes to a specific grid, or once you paste your node, these automatically get snapped to the grid. And for Asset Browser, Blender 5.1 now supports fuzzy search. This feature was previously introduced within the general search, and it's nice to see that it's now available with the Asset Browser. Another interesting thing which is now available for Asset Browser is you can now enable or disable your file path that has to do with a specific library that exists for your Asset Browser. And to do that is pretty easy. So right here, we do have a couple of libraries. If we like to enable or disable them, we can simply go over to Edit, go over to Preference, go over to File Path, and we can turn off some of these. So maybe for example, we'd like to turn off all of these and only leave the user library active. We can enable or disable them depending on what you're trying to do. And for extension, there is a new update all, which is a convenient button to install all available updates all at once. In the same vein, extensions that have available updates now display the version numbers from current to available. There's also the addition of repository filters, which adds a drop-down menu in the tag filtering menu to isolate extension lists to a single repository. And of course, if you like to see more updates that has to do with the user interface, you can simply go over to the release notes and check out some of these updates. Of course, these are more like enhancements, and also quality of life updates, which you can actually come through and explore. And this is across various sections of the user interface with new and nicer looking features that are available. One cool feature, which is very interesting that is now here, has to do with the platform section, and more specifically for Mac. At this point, iCloud Drive support has been added within the file browser, so if you work with a Mac, you can now link your iCloud Drive directly to Blender and access your files from there. Mac OS now uses the same cursor source as other platforms, making it easier to maintain them. And if you work with Windows, on the Windows platform, user fonts are now shown with the system font. At the same time, if you work with Windows, the file browser volume can now show USB icons. After that, there's just a little bit update that has to do with menus and pop-ups too. For motion tracking, we only have one update, and that has to do with addition of anamorphic coefficient to nuke lens distortion model. For physics, we don't have any update yet. For pipeline and I/O, we do have updates to USD, FBX, the GLTF exporter and importer, and of course updates to images that has to do with OpenEXR, as there's a new lossless encoding option, which is the HTJ2K. And this produces somewhat smaller files than other lossless compression method and not widely supported by other softwares. For video and audio output, there are some updates as well. Rendering also has a couple of updates. A few updates are now available for cycles. As for AMD GPUs, hardware ray tracing is now enabled by default through the HIP RT. There's also an improved GPU rendering performance, which is now scaled by 5 to 10% on various benchmark scenes. Eevee also has some interesting updates as well, as the planar reflection now supports glossy reflection and refraction. The maximum number of ALVs has now been bumped up to 128. Eevee now comes with an added transparency evaluation for shader to RBG node. There's an improvement to the lookDepth HDRI rotating speed and stability. Support for the light path node inside of the world node tree has been added back, and also the lookDepth HDRI view space lighting option has also been added back. For material compilation when working with Vulkan, there are some benchmarks here which are looking pretty interesting. And for virtual reality, we're beginning to get some updates to this. Remember when we talked about beyond keyboard and mouse? The folks at Blender seems to be working towards some nice cool stuff for virtual reality, owing to the fact that companies like Pico has also joined the Blender Development Fund. And as a side note, for those who missed the announcement, Pico is a VR company which is also supporting Blender development. So hopefully we might be seeing more and more features towards virtual reality make their way to Blender. And if you work with Grease Pencil, we have very few updates. One place which we have some interesting updates is the Sculpt, Paint and Texture. So when you go over to your sculpting tool, there is now a dedicated blur brush. Actually, if you just go over to Paint, you would notice that we have a brand new blur brush right here, which you can use on your model. And maybe a few of you guys might be wondering, can you actually paint within your sculpting mode? Yes, you can. So if you simply go over to any of the colors, like if you select the brush, go over to any of the colors, you can do some nice painting. You can switch to any brush and select any kind of color and go wild with it. And the blur brush makes a lot of sense because if you're thinking about just blurring parts, you can actually use this to blur them. And speaking about vertex painting and vertex colors, sampling colors in vertex paint mode now reads the mesh attribute data instead of the rendered viewport color. And if you're painting or you're texturing, if you simply tap escape on your keyboard before letting go of the mouse, it actually deletes your last paint operation. So in this case, let's say we're trying to paint stuff and maybe we're not getting the exact position that we'd like our brush to actually paint. If we press escape on the keyboard, it deletes that. On our cool stuff, which is also here, is maybe you're painting or you're doing your sculpting and you want to mask a part, you can now hold Alt and mask that part just like you could do in ZBrush. So in this case, once you're sculpting, it no longer affects that part. The undo for this is supposed to be Ctrl and Alt, but with Blender 5.1 the alpha, this doesn't seem to work. Hopefully this gets fixed in the beta and prior to release. And for the Compositor, a new mask to SDF node has been added to compute sign distance fields from images. There's also support to the index switch node. A new sequence strip information node has also been added, and the radial tiling node has been added as well, which will be really cool for transitions. There's also additional support to the Boolean, integer, and vector input nodes. Outside that, a few nodes have now been changed when it has to do with the Compositor. And speaking about the Compositor, the video sequencer now has some updates too. as the blade tool now has a box gesture that allows for quick cuts with support for rippling. There is some snapping updates that is also available, and in terms of modifier, there's also a couple of modifiers available, and they include the pitch modifier, which can be added to sound strips to adjust the semitones, echo modifier that can also be added to sound strips as well to adjust delays, and the compositor node, which we saw previously, now has a bit of an update as it can now be created together with a compositing node tree directly from the compositor. Other than that, we've got some updates that has to do with Python and some other interesting tiny quality of life updates overall. For geometry nodes, new nodes has been added and a couple of other updates to nodes have also been done here. One thing that creators need to keep in mind is node tools from previous versions must be opened and saved with 5.1 for these to still be useful in the future. And for modeling and Eevee, we do have some nice cool stuff that has to do with both the general modeling, the curves, and Eevee. Actually, let's talk about a few of these. Now, if you do your Eevees, you possibly select tiles from time to time. Now with this new update, you seem to be able to do more. You can now select tiles by simply going over to select and clicking on select tile. And this is going to select just this particular tile. Now if you do have multiple tiles, say for example you're working with Udemy, one thing which we've come to find out is this does not support selecting of active tiles. It only selects one tile at a time. Now possibly this has been built only for this particular workflow, but I believe people working with Udemy might want a bit of this as well. Another nice update here that has to do with modeling is this. Say for example, you're doing a simple bevel. So let's simply go ahead and select this edge and bevel that. By default, you just do your beveling like this. Now, if you hold down Ctrl on your keyboard, you now have added support for snapping. Another thing that you can do is precision. And that gets active once you hold down Shift on your keyboard. And with that, you now have a much more smoother precision on how your beveling would actually move. Another thing that has some sort of precision, which they've actually thought about to add here, is vertices. So at this point, if you select a vertex, you will be able to slide it. Actually, let's go ahead and loop a little bit more. So if we do have one particular vertex, we can now simply right click and go over to slide vertex to be able to slide this vertex up and slide it down. And the vertex sliding would slide based off the edge that it exists on. So you can either slide upwards and downwards, or you can slide left and right, depending on how you like to slide the vertex. And this will be pretty useful for those that are into modeling and retopology. Another cool feature for modeling, which is in relation to snapping, that is available with Blender 5.1, the alpha, is the face center snap. So you can now turn on your face center snap and also turn on the snapping tool. And in this case, if we bring up a cube and we choose to move this cube around, notice that it snaps automatically to the center of the face. And this is one of those extra inclusion which I think will be very useful. And of course, for those who like to check out some of the other interesting things that are right here, then you can simply come through and look this up for yourself. In terms of animation and rigging, we do have some performance updates and also some animation, rigging, and tiny user interface updates right here. Hopefully, we're going to be seeing more updates come over to Blender 5.1, but as it stands, these are the features and improvements that we will potentially be seeing with Blender 5.1. And for those who like to see these, you can simply go over to the link in the description where you can come through and check this out for yourself. And speaking of things that you need to check out, there's a couple of nice discounts and bundle offers that are now available on SuperHive. From Cloudify to Megacity, all the way to the Toggle Tools that is currently doing a 70% off, down to Curves to Mesh from Markings Note that is doing a 50% off. Through Sky version 3, the early access is currently doing a 25% off, which is potentially running out. And we've got some other discounts which are also amazing. So if you like to get any of these, or possibly you're looking for deals which you can now get, I'm going to link these ones in the description, so do well to check them out. Tell me what you guys think about this one in the comment section, and until I see you guys in the next one, peace.